First I was afraid. I was petrified. Kept thinking I could never live with Footy Fetish by my side. Then I spent so many nights thinking how Corona done me wrong. I grew strong, and I learned to get along. Fetish is back,
Hey.
still quarantined. I just walked in here with that sad look upon your face. I should have stayed inside my house. I should have washed my dirty hands. If I hadn't known for just 1 second, Corona be acting bother me. Hey, hey, hey,
Hey. We will survive.
but it will survive.
The fetish will still survive. That was brutal.
You should always know, folks, no matter what life throws at you, the fetish will survive. So we're back.
And so
As
we're back.
as always, joining me as always, folks, it's the Ocho. Right off of the, I don't know if you heard, but ESPN, the Ocho is back, and the Ocho is back. I don't. Have you watched any yet? Have you? I did today for the first time.
I don't have cable. I don't know how to watch ESPN Ocho, which is kind of sad because that's my nickname. Is there any way for me to watch ESPN the Ocho?
I can hook it up through Plus for you. Yeah.
Oh, I got Plus.
I'm pretty sure you
I
can
can
access
watch
it
it,
through
dude.
Plus.
I got Plus.
I'm pretty sure you can.
All right.
I thought that's what I was watching it on. Maybe I'll double check, but I was watching Tetris Championships earlier.
Whoa.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Whoa. That sounds
Green
pretty
tea.
dope, dude.
Green Tea. That's the, yeah. He's the number 2 seed. His name's Green Tea. Go check him out. So shout out to Green Tea.
Oh shit, that's awesome. That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
But yeah,
well,
it's a real thing.
What's our episode on today, man? What's that?
Man, I
episode?
think we're gonna jump into some player coaches. These are players turned coaches. Some of which have been better players than they are coaches. Some have been better coaches than they are players. There's a few in there we can't tell which they're better at. So here we are. Before we even dive into all that, because as you know, there are a lot of those out there, folks. Unfortunately, Army, we must discuss the current state of the Euros, Europa, and UEFA Champions League. Ocho, you want to kick us off with some bad news? We'll get the bad news out of the way first.
Yeah.
Talk about those Euros.
Bad news. Euros have been pushed back to the summer of 2021. Strangely enough, though, they're still calling it the 2020 Euros. So,
Really?
yeah, it's weird. The internet has been just totally making fun of UEFA. It makes you wonder if they've just got all this marketing material like built up, and it would just cost too much money to add the little one on the end. They're like, fuck it. We know that. Look, just remember, Corona, right? Calm down.
Yeah.
And I had some tickets that I had bought, and they have already sent me the new dates for these games. So, like everything is like lined up and ready to go for Euro 2021.
So you could just use the exact same tickets you had.
That's right.
I believe you had tickets for the games that were in Rome, correct?
We had 2 tickets in Rome. One was it was a quarterfinal. It was actually going to be on July 4th. It's now on July 3rd. And then we have 2 games in Rome. The other one was Italy-Wales, which is going to be awesome. Very excited for that.
Hell yeah.
And we had Portugal-France in Budapest.
Okay.
And then there was a round of 16 in Amsterdam. So we had 4 games we were going to try and get around to, sleeping in hostels and somehow figuring out a way to zoom around Europe, because those are kind of separated all over the place. But yeah, got to wait another year though. So
sucks, but it'd definitely be worth it for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And I think I had talked to you about this. One of my favorite young Italians is going to get the opportunity now to play. Zaniolo recently tore his ACL against Juventus, playing for Roma, and was immediately removed from the squad. Or it was very unlikely that he was going to be back for Euros. There was speculation that he was going to rush back, and a lot of people were very nervous about that because they feel like it would have been rushed. So now he's going to get a whole nother year to recoup and recover and get that explosion that he is currently building a reputation for. He's got a really good explosion and long stride down the field with the ball. So that's going to be exciting because he, for me, was going to be one of the centerpieces of that offense going forward. So very excited that he'll be back, but not excited that the Euros are pushed back. So it's like a silver lining, right? I don't know.
Yeah. At least you still get to go, number one.
Yeah.
It's good to see, he'll have some time to recover from the injury too.
Right.
God, that's got to suck to go through all the qualifying and everything, and then you get hurt and you can't actually play in what you've been working so hard for. So,
right. The good thing is, I'm gonna look up his age, but keep talking.
Oh no, you do your thing. I just I know how it is, man. Well, we both know how it is when you're working really hard for that goal, you get hurt, and then you got to watch your teammates without you. They're hurting too, not having you. It's right. Weird. It's a weird feeling. How old is he?
He is 20 years old. He was born in 1999.
So we should see him in about 4 more Euros.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Jeez. He's a July 2nd birthday, so he's actually going to be turning 21 this summer, and then he'll be 22 next summer. So
damn,
he'll be 22 in his first Euro. Nicolo Zaniolo, I mean, if you ever get a chance, go check out his highlights. He is a lot of fun. I picked him up in career mode immediately just because he's cheap and he's effective, and he's gonna progress as a player in FIFA. FIFA loves those younger players with a lot of potential because their overalls climb very fast. So very excited about that.
FIFA life. FIFA life.
Yeah, FIFA's life, bro. Speaking of that, one thing I don't know if we've talked about on our podcast, but being that, this is a quarantine time, and actually currently Booty and I are both in our homes recording via the internet, I wanted to start doing interviews with our guests via FIFA on a streaming service like Twitch or Mixer. You and I could do this, Booty. We could figure this out, whether it's through PlayStation or Xbox or even the computer. I think it would be a lot of fun to engage with, other guests or you and I, and just play FIFA while we talk about a subject. So I wanted to just plug that while we were talking about FIFA. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that'd be freaking awesome. A lot of people that I've met that I still keep in touch with on the PlayStation Network today, I've met through FIFA, like all over the world. It's a great little connecting tool. And at the same time, you're meeting folks that are also fellow footy fans. So it's really,
hell yeah,
that'd be really cool. That'd be pretty sweet. I used to ball around with some Germans who used to whoop my ass. Like, I met this one German guy who used to whoop my ass like continuously to the point where I just kept rematching him, until I started beating him, and then I was just like, all right, now we're friends.
Yeah, you gotta bridge that gap. You gotta beat your friend, and then you can be like, okay, cool.
Yeah, like you're not fucking friends with me until I beat you, and then it's fine. Okay.
In college, we used to do streaks. We used to see how many games you could win consecutively against one of the roommates, and 2 of my roommates used to go at this at like 10 games at a time. Like, one would win 10 games in a row and would hold it over him for the entire year. Like, they'd lose 1 game back to back or something. And it would be like 1 win, 1 loss. And the other guy would be like, yeah, well, I beat you 10 straight in a row. It was like, oh, fuck. Like, you couldn't do anything about it.
Like, I got tired of scoring on you.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like, for me, if you beat me 3 times in a row, like, I'm gonna fucking quit. I don't want any part of that anime. I want, like, give me another day.
I need to go walk outside. Yeah.
Yeah, give me.
Like,
no. These 2, he would go 10 in a row, lose, 10 in a row, and then maybe finally get that 11th win. And you're like,
jeez.
God, the competitiveness to win is just very strong in that one. And you would know these 2. This would be Sebastian and Drew, by the way. So.
Oh, okay, yeah, it makes sense. Well, moving on, folks.
Yep. What other news we got with Corona?
We do have some good news. We'll start to uptick good news now. We got through the bad news. Good news, folks. It's looking like Europa has now been rescheduled officially as of right now. The final has been rescheduled on June 24th, and the Champions League final is set to be played on June 27th. Because player contracts end on June 30th, they're really trying to push for June 27th as of right now.
Right.
The format of this tournament at this point for our beautiful Champions League, it could be a number of different things. They're looking at all different possibilities here, folks. They could go ahead and they could, once they get past the remaining round of 16 games that are left, they're looking at possibly finishing with maybe a single elimination closed door option, like they had already done in those last few games that we did see, especially with PSG and Dortmund was one of those. They could do something like that. Home field advantage would be completely irrelevant, obviously, with no supporters in the stadium. So if they did do that, obviously it would matter where it was played.
Right.
Still, I mean, it would be very odd. It'd be very odd from what we know. I know me personally, and Ocho's agreed with me on this one. I really love that goal away differential on the aggregate.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes Champions League. But we got to do what we got to do at this point. And again, all these are still up in the air. We still don't really know exactly if that is set in stone as of yet. What are your thoughts, Ocho?
That's the proposed kind of system so far. And like Booty said, it would be, they would reduce all these games down to, instead of a home and away, just one game, which, I mean, I guess you got to do what you got to do in times like these. But Booty, and I don't know if you heard this when you watched the game, but PSG Dortmund, if you turn the volume up and you had no other noise, you could actually hear the supporters.
Yes.
From France outside the stadium. And funny enough, when they were singing the PSG fight song or national anthem, whatever it is, and then said, "Okay, let's play the game," Neymar actually lifted his hands and started applauding, as if there was fans to applaud to. You got to imagine that there's just thousands of fans around the stadium seeing him do this and probably going, yeah, just them seeing that probably went crazy because they knew that he was applauding them outside the stadium, even though there wasn't a single person in any of the chairs anywhere in the stadium. So I could see that them reducing it to a one-game knockout game really being irrelevant because there are no fans. So technically there's not a home field advantage where that would be even, because the whole point of the home away is to give both teams an advantage to play at home. So not having any supporters but still playing in a stadium would almost kind of neutralize the fact that it is a home field for one of the teams. So that's probably the best option at this point, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, if that's what we have to do just to get some Champions League back, I'm all about it.
Yeah,
I'm all about it, baby.
Same.
And of course, the bigger question is when can we start back up? When are they thinking about starting back up? As of right now, they have anywhere from April 14th at the earliest and June 13th at the latest. I don't personally see June or April 14th being an option at the moment, but that being said, we just found out Napoli is resuming training in 2 days, which is Wednesday, March 25th. March 25th. Is that
Tuesday? Tuesday would be 24. Is it
24th? So
yeah, Tuesday 24th.
It'd be Wednesday the 25th then, yeah.
There you go, 25th. You're right.
So with that being said, I guess nothing's out of question then. I don't know.
It's got to all be closed doors. Everything's got to be closed doors. And then even the training is still sketchy because, we just heard that Dybala contracted it. He is now tested positive for the coronavirus. So clearly, I mean, as soon as you test positive, stay home, Dybala. But then you got to wonder, did anyone else on the team contract it from him and just not showing signs? does that mean that someone's got it hiding in them and could spread it to everyone else? I can guarantee Cristiano Ronaldo is not going to go to training no matter what, you know?
No.
Um,
No.
So the rumors are the prospective vaccine could be ready in 18 months. I think they've already started. I think there's already a vaccine made, and they've put it in humans, and they're doing human trials. But they still have to see, is that person going to survive? Is the vaccine going to in fact kill that person? Because what they're doing is they're just injecting a weaker version of the virus, so that your body can build the antibodies that can then fight the virus. And it's just like, man, anything can go anything could go wrong at this point.
Yeah.
And I think you and I were talking about this the other day, that is it sustainable to do closed door games for the rest of the season? As far as, can the club survive financially if they don't sell tickets? And looking at how the NFL works, the TV deals from the NFL. And we did this the other day, and I'm going to try and remember the numbers. It was like the TV rights is $5 billion. So, I mean, when you spread that out between 32 teams, for 16 games, 32 teams, I mean, there's enough money there to have to be able to fund your team, the players, the coaches, the managers, the water boys, the trainers, the owners. I feel like that can be funded purely off of TV deals. And then looking at it from the ticket sales, I want to say, okay, so each team was making around, I think, 19 million per game from the TV rights. And then the ticket sales was, I think, 7 mil. So when you look at it like that, 7 mil per game is still a lot of money, but you can survive off of 19 mil. And I would imagine that a lot of these soccer teams are going to be surviving the same way. The TV deals generate enough money to where they could do it closed doors for the rest of the season and still be fine. I'm curious to see how this affects financial fair play, because financial fair play goes into ticket sales. It goes into revenue and profit that the club generates. So this could cause a really weak transfer window in the summer. It's going to be really interesting to see how they accommodate and adapt to this just wild time that we are in right now with the coronavirus. So those are my thoughts on that. I mean, what are your opinions on any of that?
The transfer window is going to be really interesting. Not only money-wise, like you were saying, but who's going to want to come to Italy right now? On a whole different, like a biological aspect.
Yeah, like safety of me and my family. Yeah,
right.
100%.
Like who's, Italy was always very appealing. Oh, you want some food, some great culture. Like, yeah, you want to catch a disease that might kill you and your family. It's crazy.
It's something like, is it worth the balance? Just like virus, right. Italy.
It makes me really nervous as a fan of an Italian club, because especially the club that now has 3 players that test positive for it. It's like I'm really interested to see how that's going to go. No, you know what? I think none of this would have happened if Dybala would have kept his mask on. We would have been fine. If he would have scored more goals, people would have been wearing the mask. He should have fucking done better.
Or if Pogba was there, they could have dabbed on every sneeze and cough, and kept it inside. It's
there you go. And they kept waiting on that too. Both sides kept waiting on that deal. So, yeah, I'm really interested to see how that's going to play out. Just that was the first initial thought I was thinking. I'm a player. The monetary aspect of it at this point, it doesn't matter, because do I want to go live in Italy right now? Do I want to go to any of these really affected areas?
No.
Which all the infected areas are all the biggest leagues. Other than I would say maybe EPL is not as bad.
But any big city center
Right.
like London, Milan, any of those, it's going to attract it regardless because there's so many people going in
Yep.
and out of the city from other places. I mean,
Yep.
this is a nightmare. But hopefully we're due back for some live sports. April 14th is a very hopeful date.
God, I hope so.
And I mean, it's gonna be the data. It's gonna be the more data we get on test results, the faster we'll be able to know whether or not we can do professional sports again. That's what it's gonna take. We just need more data. That's all we can do is just wait for more data.
Yep.
And that's it.
Obviously, all the data we're getting is obviously behind. So
yeah, it's behind. It's inaccurate because right now, if you look at the data, especially in the USA, it looks like I think it's 60-40 people dying versus people surviving the coronavirus. But when you think about the age of people that are in that category, the majority of them are all older. So it would make sense that the older population has a 60-40 death to alive ratio.
yeah.
So those numbers don't really accurately portray how everyone in the world is handling the virus. So until we get more data, we won't really know if April 14th is the right date. But we'll have to just wait and see. I will say some good news. A test was just approved by the CDC that will find results of whether or not you're positive or negative in just 45 minutes, which is huge because then you can get more data. You can get data faster. Give a test, 45 minutes. Give a test, 45 minutes. Whereas now I think it was like 24 to 48 hours per test.
Yeah. Yeah. It's taking a couple days.
Oh my, it's exponentially faster. And if you can get this data in faster as far as who's got it, who doesn't, and then you can really start to get some idea on what this virus is doing. Then you can really start to predict, okay, April 14th is totally doable. Like let's go ahead and start having some games. Closed doors, but let's go ahead and start having some games. So it's hopeful, man. That test gave me a lot of hope for things kind of getting back to normal because then we'll be able to understand if we've actually got a hold on this. So we'll see.
Well said. Yeah. You ready to jump into some coaches?
I cannot fucking wait, man.
Some player coaches?
I've noticed as I've gotten older, I've started to relate more to the coaches than the players.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
It's weird. It's like before it was Ronaldo, Ronaldinho. I mean, those are like, I look to them. I didn't even care about the coaches. Now it's like, you look at these coaches now, like which coach is going against who? Like we saw Zidane against Pep, right? In Champions League. That was amazing. That was so cool. Fuck the players. I want to see what Pep brings out. I want to see what Zidane brings out.
I think it's us getting older too. It's I remember seeing these guys play, and now I want to see them coach against each other. It's like an ultimate chess match that's going to be on ESPN the Ocho. Them playing chess. I'll see them. I'll watch them play chess. I'll watch Zidane and we'll get Zidane and Pep against each other playing chess. I'll watch that.
Dude, that would be a riot. Oh my God.
Have everybody in the background just like swilling beers and shit. It'd be fucking awesome.
You know what you'd have to do? You'd have to put them in like a box, like a soundproof box.
Oh, I like this.
And then everybody on the outside, like as soon as a move would make, I'm like, yeah, yeah.
He moves the queen.
Yeah, and
get the queen out.
You can imagine someone like takes their piece and moves it, and then looks out, and you just hear like,
took your rook, bitch. You ain't moving left, down, up. No, oh, sir. Took your fucking rook. Anyway, let's start this bitch off. Start off.
The way Booty and I thought about doing this is we're going to do our top 5. And this is our top 5 favorite, not who we objectively are saying these are the top 5 best player coaches, right? Is that what we agreed on, right?
Yep.
Okay, so let's go from bottom to top. Number 5. I'm going to let you go ahead. You start off. Who is your your fifth favorite player turned coach?
This is a guy that I will say most of his playing, obviously, I was not born yet. I had to go back and watch a lot of his tape. So that being said, um, another thing to be said, I was pretty young while he was coaching. So I've actually gone back. There is one team that he coached. I actually have seen him coach, and I'm going to get to that momentarily here. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to give number 5 to Johan Cruyff. And the reason being,
Ooh, nice pick.
Big Ocho's a big fan, by the way. I've read his book. I have not read his book yet. But I will say he's one of those guys that he has to be mentioned in this list for me because he not only implemented these specific tactics that made soccer what it is today. He not only implemented that as a player, but he took those same tactics and implemented them as a coach. It's phenomenal. He pioneered the false nine as a player when he was actually with Barcelona in the 70s.
That's right.
He'd dictate the buildup of play with a bunch of passing and possession, patient passing. He would be he's one of those guys that he's so aware, he's so bright, brilliant. That's something that always stood out to me. And he had no problem transitioning from that player role to a coach because it came so naturally to him. In case you're wondering, I know most of you out there probably haven't seen the man play as a player. He was with the Netherlands country-wise. Of course, he made that phenomenal run, the 1974 World Cup. They eventually lost to West Germany. But one of those things that they did do throughout that World Cup, they beat the defending champs Brazil to even get to where they're at. To get to that final. He was known for what he was in that match that it ended up losing, unfortunately. He had a little turn that he did. Go back and YouTube it if you haven't seen it or heard of it.
Post the video. I love that video.
I think we should. Yeah, let's do
that. That's a classic little highlight.
It's called the Cruyff turn, if you guys haven't heard of it. Of course, multiple awards. He's won the big ones, folks. He's won the Ballon d'Or 3 times in 71, 73, 74. It's club level. Ajax. Ajax, in my opinion, is Ajax because of this man. I don't think we'd be talking about Ajax without this man.
Yep.
They built their youth academies because of this man, after this man. The tactics that he used as a coach and a player, the false nine, total football, which we'll get to in a second if you don't know what total football is, that was what they used to even build these youth academies. That's what they were teaching these kids at a young age, and you're seeing it now. You're seeing it in Champions League with Ajax. Multiple titles, of course. We could go for days.
Yeah.
3 European Cups, which that was basically your Champions League folks back then. In 1973, he moved to Barcelona from Ajax. World fee, worker fee at the time, transfer fee. Winning all Liga's first season. He was named European Footballer of the Year that year. He eventually retired from playing in 84, which he became very successful immediately as Ajax and Barcelona's. He actually managed both those guys. Total football, folks. Total football is what we do today on the field. 100%. If you didn't know, it's basically where one person fills in for another player's role. So let's say your right back goes up at one point for a big play. He's got possession. He sees space, so he takes it up. That right mid drops back into that right back role to cover his spot. It's kind of weird growing up. That was something that was implemented as the norm for both Ocho and I. So to think football or soccer before total football, it's kind of a crazy thought.
You know what's the cornerstone of total football that was totally missed for us?
What you got?
The foundation of total football is all about technique. Because while we understood the player rotation, right back goes up, okay, let me fill in for the right back. The right back has got to have the technique to be able to fill in for the right winger, and vice versa. The right winger has got to be able to defend and understand the role of a defender, you know? And that's what I think slipped through the cracks for us at our age, is the technique and understanding of how to play multiple positions. And that's what you're saying. Like right now, we see that in modern soccer, you know, especially with a player like Dani Alves. Dani Alves could be deployed right back to right winger, no problem. He's got the technique to do it, and he's got the positional awareness to play right back as well as right wing. And Cruyff just beat that into the youth academies, you know, curriculum, which is just technique, first touch, which when I teach the little ones, the 8, 9, and 10-year-olds, first touch, when you actually ask them, what is a first touch used for, often they don't know right away. And if I were to ask you, Booty, you know, what are the, let's see, I think it's, what are the 4 ways you can use a first touch? You know, you control the ball, dribble the ball, pass the ball, shoot the ball. You can use a first touch to do all of those. Control, dribble, pass, shoot. And until someone tells you that, like it doesn't click. You know, you don't understand how important your technique is because you use it all over the field.
Yeah.
And that for me is what that made total football so valuable. And a lot of people still don't really understand that. When you go to tryouts today in the modern world, first thing a coach does is he looks at your first touch because it's so important for the modern game. How was your first touch? When you control the ball, does it go fly away from you or does it stay within your possession, you know? So anyway, that came a lot from his book and reading and listening to him talk about that. He loves technique, and he also, one of the things I always say to the 8, 9, 10-year-olds, the most important shape in soccer, you know what it is?
Diamond.
Triangle.
Triangle?
Diamond is actually 2 triangles. So you're in the right spatial thing. And I tell you what, that's like one of the very common answers is a diamond. But to break it down simply, it's a triangle. His idea of total football is technique and maintaining triangles all around the field. If you do that, you'll win games, no matter what.
One of the other teams that he coached, this is my hot take for the episode.
Love hot takes.
Who knows what Catalonia is? Because it's recognized by FIFA as a country.
No shit.
Yes, and he coached Catalonia, which their home games are at Camp Nou. Yeah. They have a team. Pep played on that team as well.
Oh wait, okay, I do know Catalonia. Yeah.
Yes.
They got the shit kicked out of them by Brazil one time.
They did. But they've done their shit kicking too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting thing, and that's actually where I saw when I watched a game that he was managing. I think it was Catalonia against Spain or something like that, and they beat Spain. And they beat them like 4-2. It was a big country, and I want to say it was Spain because it makes it that much sweeter that Catalonia was playing Spain, and a lot of the guys, and a lot of the guys in Catalonia is basically just Barcelona's team, or you know, guys like Pep. Pep played with them a couple exhibition games, I want to say, and I want to say. Yeah, I want to say one of those was when Johan was coaching because, of course, Johan was his coach at Barcelona. So
that's right.
Yeah, so that's that was my fun hot take for him. He always ran that 3-4-3 or that 4-3-3 when you got a bunch of guys who can total football and actually understand, like you were saying, understand how to play these different positions. Which to me, that's nowadays you need to understand how to play couple different positions if you want to succeed this game. So
100%.
Very fun. Who's your number 5?
My number 5, let me get to my list. My number 5, Diego Simeone, a.k.a. El Cholo.
Big cojones.
Big cojones
Grab him.
Simeone. He, Argentinian midfielder. Playing years were from 87 to 2006. Played for clubs Vélez Sarsfield, Pisa, Sevilla, Atletico Madrid. Won a La Liga in 96. Went to Inter Milan, Serie A. Won a treble there. And then went to Atletico Madrid Racing Club, where he would end in 2006. But then immediately switch over to coaching. Same year, 2006, which is really that's a really interesting like transition, like player coach, bang, same year. He also played for Argentina from 88 to 2002 with 106 caps, actually breaking Maradona's record when he got to that point, which he was actually embarrassed about. He was quoted saying he was embarrassed for breaking Maradona's record. Would go on to play in 3 World Cups and win 2 Copa Americas in 91 and 93. As far as coaching, started at Racing Club, like I said earlier, went to Estudiantes, River Plate, San Lorenzo, Catania, back to Racing Club, and then now his current club, Atletico Madrid, where he would win a La Liga in 2014 and then come up short with 2 seconds in 2014 and 2016 in the Champions League. As a player, when asked about his playing style, he said, and I quote, "It's like holding a knife between his teeth," which I'm not sure how to interpret that, but I would imagine
he's a Buccaneer.
He's a Buccaneer, I guess. And reading
pirate.
other people's descriptions about his play style, he was tenacious, versatile, hardworking, and a complete two-way midfielder. Primarily known for his leadership, tactical versatility, intelligence, strength, and stamina, which would make sense in his two-way midfielder, and was praised by pundits for his technique, vision, and passing range, which, you know, when you hear about those characteristics as a player, and then you think about his play style, you get a lot of that, his play style in his coaching kind of philosophy. As far as what people said about his coaching philosophy, he was renowned for his attention to detail and quick adaptability to change a game. And he was praised for instilling confidence and discipline in his players, emphasizing creativity from set pieces while also defending set pieces, which you can see, I mean, especially in Champions League, which, fun fact, he has never lost a Champions League unless it was a team that had Cristiano Ronaldo in, which is shocking. And I don't know if that's a coincidence or if there's a causation there. Leading last year would lead me to believe it's Cristiano Ronaldo who's got the bigger cojones. But well, this year, hopefully, we get to see what happens. But he was known for starting with a 4-4-2 formation, and on defense, dropping in with 2-4 lines, keeping it very tight and shifting side to side depending on where the ball goes. And I was reading one specific tactical game plan he set out against Barcelona, which was, this is brilliant. He was able to separate Xavi and Iniesta on the field, meaning when one got the ball, he would set up like a line of players or block the passing channel between Xavi and Iniesta. And it just disrupted their flow building out of the midfield, which when you think about it, it's like, man, if you can prevent Xavi and Iniesta from being able to pass the ball back and forth and then looking for Messi,
You shut down Barcelona.
100%. Like, they got nothing. They got nothing.
Wow.
And one other thing I'd like to point out is he is a student of Marcelo Bielsa, who is if we call Cruyff the godfather of modern soccer, Marcelo Bielsa is like the great godfather, to use Footy's terminology there. He once deployed a 3-3-1-3 in Argentina. And I don't know how they lined up as far as like left to right across the field, but a 3-3-1-3. I mean, you got to think that's like a 3-4-3. I don't know how you would. I'd have to sit there and watch, but it's a Marcelo Bielsa type of.
I was gonna say I'm thinking of that in my head right now, and it's mind-boggling me.
Yeah. Like, does the back line, they have to be tight, so that means the next line's got to be wide. And then I would imagine the next one is kind of counterbalancing the other middle player. And then you've got 3 attacking players that just kind of so I chose Diego Simeone because he 106 caps for Argentina. Not to mention, you know, he's won 2 Copa Americas. And then we see what he's done with Atletico, which has just completely changed their culture and make them a team to be feared. I mean, beating Liverpool, knocking them out of the Champions League, like that in itself right there should be an award for Simeone. Yeah. Not to mention knocking out Barcelona multiple times in Champions League. Like, not just like, oh, random coincidence, like did it at least twice and got to the final. So for me, he's definitely a player coach that he's one of my favorites just because of what he's been able to do at Atletico. So
that's a good one, man. He's definitely in my top 10 for sure. He almost knocked out Juve last year, very close, and then he comes back around and throws a defensive masterclass at Liverpool and beats a team that hadn't lost a game in about a year. It
Not
beat
to
him
mention,
twice.
It was at Liverpool's home.
Yeah. It's nuts. Absolutely nuts.
So he gets a lot of credit in my book.
Well, folks, we have the same number 4. So that being said, I'm going to pass it to Ocho for him to take away this number 4. This is a man we both very much love, wish we could play for.
Yeah. Oh, man. Dude, I wish I could just be around him. Okay, so number 4 for both of us. And we actually, just before we get into this, we made our list separately, but we looked at our list prior. And we both had Antonio Conte, the Italian midfielder, as our number 4. Played from 85 to 2004 for Lecce and Juve, only 2 clubs. Love seeing that. Shows a lot of loyalty, especially staying in Serie A.
Definitely.
Boatload of Serie A titles and a 1996 Champions League title. So, I mean, the guy knows how to win, clearly. Like, he's done it his whole playing career. Played in Italy from 94 to 2000 with 20 caps. And in 2004, you know, he stopped playing. Immediately started coaching in 2006. Still coaching. So 2006 till now. Coached Arezzo, Bari, in which with Bari, he actually got them out of Serie B into Serie A in 2009. So that was a really big achievement for him. Then going on to Atalanta, Siena, Juventus, which was a really, really big opportunity for him. Won Serie A every single year he was there. Left in 2014 to coach the Italian national team, preparing for the Euros, which would happen in 2016. Got them to the quarterfinals, and then stepped down as the Italian head coach. Then went to Chelsea, won the Premier League. First year, 2017. And then he is now where he is at Inter, doing wonderful over there, bringing in lots of good talent and completely changing the mindset of that team. They were in the dumps last year. Not in the dumps. They finished top 4, so can't give him too much flack. But quick biography of his play style. I like to look at the play style as well as the coaching style. He was labeled as one of the most important Italian midfielders of his generation, which I don't know. Did you know that, Booty?
Yeah, well, the thing is that sticks out to me is I know he was a very well-loved player, which transitioned so well into him being a well-loved coach. A guy that's going to go out there and fight for you. And he's not gonna throw you under the bus. He's going to tell you if you suck. He's going to tell you if you don't suck. He's going to tell you if he loves you. He's going to tell you if he doesn't love you. And if he doesn't love you, you're gone. That's something I can really respect about him.
So his playing style was quick, combative, energetic. He was tactically versatile. Wasn't the most skilled from a technical standpoint. However, he was a hard worker, he's consistent and intelligent, with an innate ability to read the game. Mainly known for his leadership, strong mentality, accurate tackling, stamina, and vision. And I immediately get sucked into strong mentality and leadership, going back to what you said.
Same. Yep.
Him as a coach, he's a leader as a coach. So naturally, when you're a leader as a player, you fill in that role beautifully. It's like it's just the only thing that's different is you're no longer inside the lines; you're just on the outside. So, I mean, with that being said, he was born to coach, and especially with what you were saying about in the locker room, you either he's going to fire you up, and if you don't meet his standards, he's going to let you know. And a lot of players have said that about him, that he expects a lot out of you, but it's because he wants you to win and he wants to win. And his ability, and this is a quote, his ability to foster great team spirit among his players. I mean, we're seeing it right now with Inter. They just absolutely love this guy, right? It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And he's obsessed with tactics,
Yeah.
What's his favorite formation to deploy?
Oh, 3 in the back.
3 in the back,
3-5.
baby.
3-5.
3-5, man. 3-5, 3-4, whatever. Just give me 3. I just need 3 in the back.
3 in the back, 5 in the midfield. I mean, after that, I don't even care who's up top because I mean, if you got 5 in the midfield, you're controlling the midfield, obviously.
Right. Yep.
So you're literally covering line to line. 5 midfielders.
Fun fact here: his first year with Chelsea, he initially started to experiment with different formations and eventually got to a 3-man back system where David Luiz became the centerpiece of his defense, kind of stepping forward in front of those 2 center backs and being the one to distribute. And he beat up on Arsenal so bad that a coach like Arsene Wenger, who never in a million years would have tried a 3-man back system, tried a 3-man back system that year. Because I think the score was 5-0. Conte, and there's a commentator that said this is one of the best displays I've ever seen in the EPL in a long time. And as a coach, when you as a coach put on such a great performance that the other coach, who never in a million years would deploy a 3-man back system, does that, I mean, that's a huge compliment for you, Like, try 3-man back system, It's like, shit.
And not only a guy who came from nothing but, Serie A, Italian football, comes to the EPL, first year wins it. So
first year, man. Takes the players he has. And like, when you think about that team, like Victor Moses was a very important piece of that team. Granted, a lot of people don't remember this, but he immediately went and got Conte from Leicester. Leicester won the EPL. Conte comes in to coach as Chelsea. Conte immediately gets picked up by Chelsea. And Chelsea wins the EPL. So you got to give credit. You got to give credit to Conte here for winning the EPL as the coach. But Conte, the player, is a really good player to have on your team, especially if you're in a 3-4-3. Because he's basically 2 players. So for me, just going back to him as a player, he was a winner as a player. His teammates loved him. It's the same thing as a coach. He's a winner as a coach, and his players love him. And he loves his players. One of my friends often imitates him doing his best Italian accent. I'll try and do it. And he'll always start interviews with my players. It's all about my players, and he's constantly throwing all the praise on his players. So I love to see that as a coach, and just so glad he's still coaching in soccer these days.
Yeah, special talent. He's one of those guys. Definitely irreplaceable. I mean, we've said countless times how irreplaceable he is. Last couple minutes. I loved in that 2016 Euro. He like jumped in the stands.
Yeah,
That's how like passionate he gets about things.
Oh my
Like he'll start running. I always call him the Italian Klopp because he gets so passionate. He starts like running up and down, it's like fist bumping players and like jumping in the stands with the fans and going nuts and throwing beers and shit like in the stands with fans. Like that's that guy. I love it. I love it. And again, that's one of those things where it's like I'll go play for that guy. Whatever he wants me to do, I'll do it.
I just want to be around him.
Love to see that. Yeah, I love to see that.
I want to hear him, man. I want to hear him talk and just pick his brain. And he'd probably
Freaking
turn me
love
into a
it.
better person if I just hung around him more.
Right. He also threw out there the don't have too much sex with your wife. I don't know if y'all heard about that.
That's right.
You heard about that?
When was that?
Yeah.
When was that?
I want to say it was this year. Like, 2019, like end of 2019.
Was it with Chelsea?
I think it was with Inter. He was telling his guys like don't have too much sex because then you'll be like really tired.
Hey, dude, that was so recent. He
Yeah,
said, like,
it was
go
super
home. No, it was something like it wasn't like don't have sex, but it was like tell your wife to get on top.
Yeah, he said like make it like a 30-second thing.
Yeah, like do it. Don't spend because it was a whole like energy thing. He was like, don't spend too much time making love. If you want to have sex, tell your wife to get on top.
Just have sex with you.
Like,
yeah.
Damn, dude.
Sex, no love.
Don't tell me how to have sex.
Go home, have sex, get it over with. Okay.
Another thing I'm remembering reading about him is that he puts a lot of attention to detail in the players' diets, what they eat outside of training.
Oh wow!
A lot of players have also said that like the preseason training is some of the hardest training they've ever had to go through. And it's because I think he wants his players physically fit to be able to fulfill his style of play. And those Italians, it's either let's sit back and defend and give them the ball, which, I mean, let's be honest. If you're going to let the other team get the ball, you're going to be running a lot. You're going to be chasing that fucking ball. You're going to be covering space. So he expects you to be able to maintain defensive shape. And then when you get that ball back, quickly flip the switch and counter down the field. So he's definitely a very physical demanding coach, but I mean, the players love him. So they'll do whatever it takes.
There's probably been a couple of those players that's like, motherfucker, I'm going to eat whatever I want. And like, you're going to know. And like, Connie's like, oh, I'll know.
Oh, I'll know. Yeah.
I'll be able to tell. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, what else we got?
That's a good one. Number 3. You go first. Who's your number 3?
This is where we started to have a difference of opinion, folks.
I agree.
I have the great Zinedine Zidane, and I know what you're already thinking. Like, everybody's already thinking, well, I already know who your number 1 is. Yeah, you gonna see. Anyway, you gonna see. Anyway, what can we say about Zidane that hasn't been said? Me personally, I remember seeing this man play for the 1998 France World Cup team. That's the first World Cup I remember watching. And I remember him scoring the magnificent header off of a corner that made him a French hero, made him basically president of France. But to run through a couple of his stats here, folks, he's a UCL champion, Champions League champion as a player and a coach. There's not a lot of guys out there that can say that. He won the Champions League with Real Madrid in 2002. He is also a World Cup champ, as we mentioned, and a World Cup runner-up. That's the 98 championship and runner-up in 06, the famous headbutt, as we know. It's a shame that follows the man, but he made his own bed. Now, that being said, also he is a 2000 Euro winner, and he was named player of the tournament for that tournament. He's named one of FIFA's top 100 players ever in 2004. Named FIFA World Player of the Year in 1998, 2000, and 2003. A Ballon d'Or winner for 1998. He was a center attacking mid for multiple clubs. If I'm mispronouncing this, Piotr, come and hit me. Is it Canes?
I think so.
Canes, French club from '89 to '92. He then moved on to Bordeaux from '92 to '96. From there is really when he started taking off, folks. That's when you really started to know the Zidane that we know today, player-wise. I played for Juventus from '96 to 2001. And then one of the biggest transfers at the time was from Juve to Real Madrid in 2001, where he played until 2006. Of course, after that, the initial 2.5 seasons with Madrid as a coach, he won the Champions League 3 straight years. Then also a UEFA Super Cup. Then also a FIFA Club World Cup. Both of those he won twice each, as well as La Liga title, Supercopa de España. Zidane, the player, the coach, you name it, he's done it. Amazing. And you can kind of see his style of play as a player transfer over as a coach. Of course, when he had CR7, I felt like you could really kind of see that midfield work up to CR7. A lot of those scoring opportunities they did have then. But I got to give the man credit. The reason I respect him so much is since CR7's left, obviously there was that little hiatus where he left for a second, but he came back to Real Madrid. And he's been finding ways to get it done. And he's doing it with younger guys. He's been putting a lot of faith in his younger guys, which I can respect because how do you know when you're throwing an 18-year-old, 19-year-old Rodrigo out there? Everybody says he's amazing, but it's Real Madrid. It's Real Madrid. You're going against Barcelona. I got to see something, and for you to have that faith in your players like that, the younger guys, that's what makes the younger guys great. That's what makes them grow up so fast, and that's what makes them the superstars that we know they are. So
100%. Yep, 100%. Yeah, and for me, I had Zidane at 2. So I could have flipped him to 3. I think he could have easily been my 3. But for me, the things he did as a player and then the things he's done as a coach in just a short amount of time, I feel like that, for me, that puts him above my number 3, who I'll get to in a second, who I have a feeling is your number 2. So we might be able to flip-flop. While we're on Zinedine Zidane, a few things that people have said about him. Of course, as Booty said, an elite playmaker, renowned for his elegance, vision, passing, ball control, and technique. He said his ability to manipulate the ball was just absolutely fantastic. He displayed extraordinary technique. As a player, he just extreme entertainment all around. And that you can kind of see that transfer over as a coach. As a coach, he's been labeled as his tactical philosophy particularly is flexible and praised by many, while others say that it's more the players that he has to play with. And when you watch him play, his attack is mainly focused through the flanks. Granted, the majority of his play has been with Ronaldo and Bale and Marcelo and Carvajal, so it's very easy to just push the ball out wide to them and kind of let them create. But he let players have freedom and let them have freedom so that they could prove their superiority, and he wasn't really considered as a tactical innovator. He kept things very simple. He was more of a man manager than anything. And when you look at all of the players he's managed, there's so many egos on that Real Madrid team. All he simply did was he just needed to keep everybody calm and let them do their jobs on the field. They're professional soccer players. You don't need to coach them. You don't need to coach them on anything. They know their technique, right? You're not going to improve their technique. They're going to do that on their own. All you can do is give them a format. You give them a play style, and then just keep them calm when things start to get out of hand. And I think back to and I hate to do this to you, Booty, but I think back to the Champions League final, Juventus, Real Madrid. Someone filmed him in the locker room, and it was amazing to just see his composure and just reinforce simple tactics. Simple tactics. It was amazing. It was, and I'm gonna have to send you this video of him at halftime, just basically saying exactly what these analysts have said. Get the ball out to the flanks, keep playing the ball wide, and let's drive it down the flanks and swing it back into the middle. You know, keep your head about you, keep your composure, don't make any turnovers in the back line, and let's get out there and win this thing. And it was that simple. It wasn't overly complicated, you know. And I have a quote here. When you work with high-quality players, they know how to manage those periods of the game when you're not playing well. And they get things back on track very quickly. My job was to just keep them calm. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And he was quoted saying his main influences were Marcelo Lippi and Carlo Ancelotti. Very notable.
Not bad. Not bad. Both those guys have a couple trophies.
Oh, there's a few. Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah. No, and going back to that final, if I'm not mistaken, it was 1-1 at halftime. So that halftime speech led to a 4-1 victory. So
I need to check that right now because I am curious now that we're talking about it.
Yeah. Was it 1-1 at half?
Champions League quarterfinal. Let's just type it in. Champions League final. 2018?
17.
2017. 4-1. Give me a box score. Sheesh. Hold on there, folks. Ardell. Folks. All right, here we go. I got a Wikipedia link.
Wiki.
Okay. Scroll. Wow. Spot on, Booty.
Yeah, I remember getting whooped up.
First
You don't forget
goal,
this.
Ronaldo 20th, Mandzukic 27th. Real Madrid comes out 61, 64, 90. Game over.
I remember thinking, like, what the hell did he tell them at halftime? Because the minute that first one for the second half, when that very first one, then all of a sudden the next one, and the next one, it was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, and see,
Yep.
when you look at, I'm looking at the formations that both teams put out. And I mean, just looking at these formations, you can already see that there's a 2v1 on the outside. And Zidane seemed to have known that. Real Madrid came out with a 4-3-3, Ronaldo and Isco being the wide players. So now you've got Marcelo Ronaldo against Dani Alves, who phenomenal player, but it's still a 2v1 regardless.
Yeah, you got to pick and choose which one you want to cover.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, cover Ronaldo. Good luck.
Yeah.
Ronaldo's going to beat you too. You know, like.
Do I leave Ronaldo open?
Dani Alves' help was Barzagli. So
yeah,
as far as pace goes, they're going to win that battle every day. And on the other side, you got Carvajal, who out there, it's Carvajal Isco going against Alexandro. And, you know, like I said earlier, Zidane, just keep it simple. You know, our players will be able to do their thing. I'm going to put them into positions that will win the game. And actually, this is reminding me, at this current coaching course that I went to, they said that there's 3 superiorities that are important in soccer. You have individual superiority, you have numerical superiority, and you have positional superiority. Individual superiority, you know, mano y mano, man versus man. Ronaldo's going to win pretty much every battle there. You have positional superiority. I think that goes into, like, how did they explain that? On the field, space. You know,
Ronaldo is finding space all day in that game.
All the time. And then you have numerical superiority, which is a 2v1. And if you keep all of your play style and your philosophy down to those 3 principles, and you can have those, if you can achieve those in a game, you know, you'll be able to keep it simple and win the game. You know, as long as you're putting goals in the back of the net. When you got a player like Ronaldo, he's going to find you the back of the net. You just got to give him an opportunity. So
certainly, he found 2 that day.
Tell you what, I like that. That's a good number 3, good number 2. I mean, he's a top 3, obviously, right?
Of course.
Player coach. That's just a no-brainer. With that being said, who's your number 2?
Well, number 2 is some guy named Pep.
Ah,
you heard of this guy?
Number 3.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Why don't you take over Pep?
You want me to take? Okay, so Pep, look at his career. Coaching career was playing career. Let me start over. Pep Guardiola, Spanish, right? Also Catalonian, right?
Yes.
Central or defensive midfielder, usually in front of his team's back line. And going back to your number 5, Cruyff. Cruyff actually pulled him out of the youth academy because he was such an intelligent player. He was not fast. He was not strong. But he had a really good technique. He was really smart with the ball. And Cruyff saw that. And I only have his first team career. But you can imagine Pep Guardiola was at Barcelona for many years prior. So going to his playing career, started in 1990 and going all the way to 2006. With Barcelona, going to Brescia, going to Roma, and then going back to Brescia, then going to Alil Dorados. And then we can't forget his international career, playing at Spain and, like you said earlier, Booty, Catalonia, from 95 to 2005, getting 7 caps. Really interesting that he was able to play for both countries. You know, I wanted to read up more, but not really that important. With Barcelona, won a ton of La Liga titles, 91, 92, 93, 94, 98, 99, and then won a Euro Cup, which is basically the UEFA Champions League in 92. Give me some awards that he won. I know you've got some personal awards that Pep has won. What do you got there?
I believe most of the ones that he had won, other than cups, as a player. One thing to point out, he was part of the Johan Cruyff's led little Barcelona dream team, as they called it.
That's right.
That they went on a little run from 91 to 94, winning La Liga, all of those years. They also won the European Cup, of course, a.k.a. Champions League, in 92. Barca was his princess, that was his baby. So it's very cool to see him come back to coach Barca, which in his first team as manager got Barca to the treble, La Liga, Copa del Rey, and became the youngest manager to ever win Champions League as a manager. The thing I really can respect about him as well is when he left Barca for Bayern Munich from 2013 to 2016, which everybody remembers they were in the thick of things in the Champions League during that time period. But of course, while he was there, they had to win Bundesliga all 3 years he was there. And of course, now he's with Man City, and Man City back-to-back English Premier League titles. Pretty freaking impressive. But you can't forget about those extra games that he played with Catalonia. Pretty fun little one to put on the resume, right?
Yeah, and you just wonder how he was able to play for both countries.
Yeah.
At the same time. How did he do that?
Yeah, I just like the fact it's like I played for a country that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
I played for a country that's kind of a country.
It's not a country as far as like the United Nations, but FIFA sees it as a country. So
yeah, yeah,
FIFA.
Right. FIFA said so. I'm down with FIFA. But yeah, another guy that I have to. Another reason that I really love the guy. Took a lot of Johan Cruyff's methods and applied them into what we see today. Another guy that the games that you watch today, a lot of these guys, folks, even the ones that we've mentioned today, they like to steal a lot of ideas from each other, and that's the beautiful thing about coaching. Yeah, you can take these ideas and you can spin them however you want. Another guy that you turn on the games that we watched today, and you're seeing a lot of Pep's philosophies, the high pressing. That's something that sticks out for me for Pep whenever anybody says Pep, which is interesting because he used to play. He was a defender, but he's also
not really. He was a center defensive mid, but
right. So
to add on to what you're saying about high press, I looked into that. He had this thing which he called the 6-second rule, which was press high up the field for 6 seconds, force a center back, outside back, or a goalkeeper to make a bad touch. If we don't win the ball back in 6 seconds, drop in. That was his high press / 6-second rule. And I didn't know that. But you're spot, like, when you think about high press, it's Pep. Pep was the high press king. You know, it was all about high press. And now that I see that, I'm going to look for that at Man City because he still brings that high press with him to Man City and Bayern Munich, you know?
Bayern, another thing I remember he used to do is he used to he'd overload the sides. He'd overload one side and then he'd switch the ball quick to the other side. And somebody'd be waiting there. And then they'd switch it back to the middle where everybody would be just confused out of their minds defense-wise on who to cover. And 9 times out of 10, Bayern would have somebody waiting. Those are two big things that you see a lot nowadays that I feel like he really implemented into what we're seeing.
What you said is absolutely spot on for how he describes his style of attacking. And a lot of people go, oh, Pep does tiki-taka. If you tell that to Pep, he might fucking slap you in the face. Because he hates that his style of play is labeled to tiki-taka, because tiki-taka is passing without any motive to go forward.
Right.
He always had a purpose with possession, and it's to repeat exactly what you said. He would pass the ball on one side of the field. It would congest that side of the field, leaving tons of space on the other side. He'd switch the ball to the other side of play, and it would be wide open. Just like you said, that was his whole philosophy. Pass with a purpose, pass to create space, pass to create overloads. That's as simple as it gets. And he actually spent some time studying other sports like rugby and Australian football. And he said what it all comes down to, all sports, is just creating space by creating overloads on other sides of the field. And he was like, that's it. That's all it is.
Yep.
It's like if you can get the ball back quickly and then you can create this overload, you've now created a chance to score a goal or, you know, in rugby, score a try or whatever. But, I mean, just like you said, it's all about, for Pep, it was all about just overloading one side of the field to create space on the other. And to kind of quickly go back to him as a player, I love reading about what people say about these coaches as players. Johan Cruyff labeled him the best midfielder of his generation. That's a really high praise. That's a high praise right there. He was labeled as a highly creative, hardworking, nimble, elegant player with good anticipation, tactical awareness, and an ability to read the game. He was generally a deep-lying playmaker where he excelled with his technical ability, intelligence, efficiency, precise passing of the game. His lack of notable pace and physical attributes didn't hold him back because he was highly regarded throughout his career with his vision, close control, passing range, positional sense, and calm composure on the ball. I mean, that phrase right there, I want to tell every single kid who thinks they're too slow and too small to play soccer. Like, a player,
just be smart.
Just be smart, man. Just use your fucking head, right? That's all it comes down to.
Be smart. Look for space
and technique. I got
to space.
As they say, he's got elegance. Elegance. I mean, that's just
elegance.
Whew. That's
I'm elegant.
His ability to retain possession and set the tempo was something that set him apart and was what you could build the team around. You give him the ball, he's going to keep it, and he'll set the tempo for your team going forward. He also had the ability to make attacking runs going forward and strike accurately from distance, also being a free kick shooter. So, if you found him on top of the box, 20, 25 yards deep, he might fucking bang one in on you. You never know.
Yeah.
He also stood out for his leadership throughout his career. As I said before, his play style, which relied on creativity, technique, and ball movement rather than physicality and pace, inspired several future Spanish playmaking midfielders, such as, you can guess it, Xavi, Iniesta, Cesc Fabregas. As a player, just top notch. And you love to see a player like that transition into a coach and bring everything with him. Like when you see Barcelona back in those, 2008, 2009 to 11, around that time. It was just fun to watch. They were so fun to watch. They just dominated everybody. I can go on and on. He flips with Zidane for me because of just they can easily go 2-3 for me.
Definitely. Right.
And,
The only reason I put him at 2 is just because of how instrumental he's been with what we're seeing today, with the game and how it is and what he's done with the game today. I can't say that about Zidane as much, but Zidane has the accolades everywhere else that maybe Pep doesn't. He's got the World Cup,
Exactly.
So that could be why you flip-flop him.
Right, and this is favorites, right? It's our personal opinion here. And one thing
right.
I'm just realizing, I think for both of us, we both I don't know if you thought this. I literally just thought of this. Pep and Zidane are still coaching. So right now, the sky is the limit for them as far as accolades as a coach. Pep could surprise us and win Champions League this year. And it would be like, well, okay, maybe I should put Pep as a number 2 instead of a number 3. I feel like until they stop coaching, you and I could just flip-flop them back and forth as 2 and 3. And then eventually maybe put him in the number 1, If Zidane wins 3 more Champions Leagues, it's going to be hard to say that he's not one of the best player coaches in the world, It's going to be hard not to. So,
and they're both to the point where they could literally do anything they want. Like, what do you feel like doing? Do you feel like maybe trying out Serie A for size?
Right.
For a challenge. I always say, we need a new challenge. I need a new challenge. I just conquered Bundesliga and EPL. I need a new challenge, And I'm glad you mentioned the Xavi, because that made me also think of somebody Spanish. When he had his Spaniards, he always had a Spaniard, Pep. Xavi Alonso, he had a Bayern, which we always forget. We always forget he's a same type of player, But I always remember that game when you're speaking about the overloads and the passing back to space, the Roma game.
Yes.
The Champions League Roma game where they absolutely murdered them. They overloaded the left side and they flipped that back, and Robin was just chilling, waiting, poked one in. I think that was the first or second goal.
Punished
that
him.
game.
Punished him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was in his book. I remember you and I talked about this.
I think so.
Went and watched. He took his own money. He flew to, I think it was Turin, because Juventus was playing Roma. He flew to Turin, watched that game, drew up a game plan, Champions League in a few days, boom, 7-1 or some shit like that. And you're like, fuck.
Beat the shit out of him.
One game, he had their tactics down and was able to just demolish them. Crazy, man. And that's something that I need to point out about Pep, is that once he got to Bayern, that's when he was able to blossom as a coach, because he wasn't held in that 4-3-3 system.
Yeah.
And he wasn't held with those La Masia players. He had players like Lewandowski, who is completely unlike La Masia in that he's just a raw number 9. He could find those spaces and exploit a defense, and he could punish you in the air, and crossing into the box wasn't unheard of from that Germany team, from Bayern Munich, and it allowed Pep to explore other formations. And I've said this before. With that Bayern Munich team, he experimented with 25 different formations. It's in the book. I have to send you a photo. It's like you think it's just like 4-3-3, 4-4-2, 3-5-2. No, Pep was doing like 4 lines of players. He was mixing and mashing. He at one point had David Alaba, Philip Lahm, and one other player who was not a center back in his back line. And you just got to wonder. I think it was Kimmich. It was like Kimmich, Lahm, and David Alaba. None of them are center backs by any means. But he put all 3 of them in his back 3 line with like a 3-4-3. And it's just like, man, you crazy, dog. You crazy. So
it's only crazy if it don't work.
Right. So yeah, I'm sure we're gonna be talking about Pep for another 2
I think, yeah.
Just
it's still
such a great coach.
Still a lot of time left to go, as we said too.
That's
so,
true. That's very
limit.
true. So
come coach USA, please.
Oh God, I think he would die from stress. He might die from stress.
You'd have to be quarantined a long time to want to do that. But moving on, who's your number 2? You got a good number 2. You said Pep was number 2.
No. Pep was your 2.
Pep was my 2, but who was your 2?
Zidane
was your 2.
We talked about it, yeah.
We flip-flop this, yes.
So this is where I'm going to try and go through quickly because we've both got different number 1s here. And I don't want to spend too much time. Mine is Carlo Ancelotti. Wow, what a legend. Italian midfielder / second striker. Basically, he was the number 10, which, I mean, if I'm going to get a coach, I want it to be the number 10, just because he's got that creative mindset as a player. So you're going to see it as a coach. Just to go quickly through his playing career, 76 to 92, 3 decades. Incredible. Started with Parma, was on the team with them when they went from Serie C to Serie B. Impressive, right? Then he immediately went to Roma, where he won a Serie A in 83, and also got second place in the Euro in 84. Then went to Milan, where he won 2 Serie A championships and 2 European Cups, which is the Champions League in 89-90. And then we can't forget, he also played for Italy from 81 to 91 with 26 caps, also getting a 3rd place in the 1990 World Cup. So quite an accomplished player. Stopped playing in 92 and then started coaching in 95 until now. Still coaching, which is really great to see. Played for coach for teams Reggiana, Parma, Juve, Milan, where he won a Serie A and 2 Champions League titles. Then on to Chelsea, PSG, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and now currently Bayern Munich, Napoli, and now currently Everton. So quite a resume. The fact that he's still coaching shows that he still has the quality as a coach to go in and win, which is what you want as a coach. He was labeled as a world-class player, creative, cautious, efficient midfielder. He had leadership, skill, composure on the ball, and an organizational ability. One of the best Italian midfielders of his generation. Again, another player, lacked pace, as well as physical and athletic characteristics. However, he was highly talented, hardworking, combative, and a tenacious team player. Did not know that about him, so that was really cool to read. Above all, he possessed excellent technical ability, tactical intelligence, a vision, and passing range, as well as a powerful and accurate shot from outside the area. Almost identical to Pep Guardiola, which is, I mean, amazing, right? Both of these, it's almost like we get a foreshadowing of where Pep could potentially go just looking at Carlo Ancelotti, right? I'm not going to say that, but He was the mentor and predecessor of two famous Italian midfielders, Albertini and the famous Andrea Pirlo, in the deep-lying playmaker role. Really interesting playing career there. And to go quickly into his coaching bio, his tactical prowess and adaptability, can't speak, adaptability were what he was praised for, as well as towards his player. His kindness, his good humor, and his calm, balanced approach as a manager. Man, can't tell you the last time I've heard about a coach with that kind of personality. So, again, something really interesting that I didn't know about him. I mean, when you see him, he seems kind of laid back. You know, he seems kind of like carefree, but at the same time, lots of players have gone on record to say that he has fucking blown up on them in a locker room, which was like, okay, cool. He's got a good balance of like calm, funny, happy, but at the same time will like flip the switch and just like fucking blow up on you, you know?
I saw a good example of that the other day. He got a red card at the end of the game for Everton.
No shit.
He like I'll find it for you. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, send that to me.
He like calmly walks over to the ref, and you can tell he's like going back and forth, and the ref just like gets the red out, and you can tell he just goes, "All right, fuck you then," and like walks off.
Yeah.
You can tell he was like you could see like his expression was just like, really, really,
yeah,
really, and the rest is like, it's over. He's like, no, it's not over. We're having a discussion, and then red card, he just goes, all right, fine, fuck you.
Whatever. Right.
They ask him like after, they're just like, how do you feel? He's just like, I mean, we got the red card. It was a terrible call. I'm gonna go find it for you for sure.
Definitely.
Send it to you.
So, a few more things to add. His ability also to motivate his players and cultivate a good relationship with them, foster a united, winning team environment. I mean, like, all of these things you're hearing about him. But it says, although he has been known to lose his temper at times, which we were both talking about, I kind of like seeing that. I like seeing that from a coach, you know? So
definitely.
He was quoted, if you're organized, even an ordinary player can do very well because he'll have options and he'll know where they are and how to find them. But when you get to the final third, everything changes. That's where you need creativity and freedom, because without it, you have a sterile possession. I'm stealing that for the end of time because that is so spot on. I feel like that describes USA soccer down to a T. We have sterile possession in the attacking third. It's so fucking sterile. It just pisses me off. Let's not get off topic. He said, especially if your opponent's defense is organized and has been paying attention. Just going back to it. If you've got no creativity and freedom in the attacking third, an organized defense will see it and be like, okay, this is a piece of cake. So
yeah.
I mean, listening to him as a player, listening to the description of him as a coach, not to mention that quote right there, to add on to all the things he's won as a player and as a coach, I mean, he's been in the game since 76, and he's still doing it. He's still doing it.
You don't tell the man that the game's over until he says it's over. Gonna be handing out red cards.
And imagine, think of this, man. Think of this. You've coached Zidane, Pirlo, Maldini, Kaká, John Terry, Lampard, Drogba, Thiago Silva, Zlatan, Ronaldo, Pepe, Di Maria, Bale, Modric, Ramos, Marcelo, Xabi Alonso, Neuer, Lahm, Hummels, Lewandowski, Robin, Rimmer. Hey, do you want to coach at Everton? Yeah, sure. Are you fucking kidding me? You know how much you have to love the game of soccer to go from those players to Everton?
He's addicted.
Jesus.
He should still be coaching Napoli, but that's a whole different story.
Whole different story. I'm actually kind of glad he's at Everton because now we get to see how he adapts to the EPL. Right?
Yeah.
He was at Chelsea, but that was almost a decade ago. The EPL has completely changed now.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna see what happens here. I'm really excited. I'm gonna start following Everton just because of him. I want to see what he does. Lots of really great young potential there. You got that young Italian, Moise Keane. He's over there.
True.
You got that young Brazilian, Charlison. He's over there.
Yeah. I forgot about that guy.
That Portuguese player. I'm forgetting his name. He's a tall midfielder. Ooh, can't remember it. I got his face in my brain. Hold on. I'm going to find this in 5 seconds. Andre Gomez. You have Yerry Mina, young center back from Colombia. Andre Gomes is 26. Not young, but, he's got England's starting goalkeeper, Jordan Pickford. I mean, he's got some really great young talent. Gylfile Sigurdsson, the captain for Iceland.
Oh, yeah?
That is a really high potential team there. And Theo Walcott's there. Holy shit, didn't know that.
Oh, didn't know that either.
Really cool because there's lots of players there. I've already said it. I'm just going to end it there. He's my number one player coach. Done.
Say, Andre Gomez, I know from my good old buddy Columbia Dre. Side.
He's Portuguese. I think you're talking about Yerry Mina.
No, you said Andre Gomez from Colombia, right?
Portugal. Yerry Mina is Colombia.
That's right. Okay, yeah. Side.
Yes, hey. Who is your number one? I don't think I'm ready for this right now.
Without further ado,
Freddie
number one.
Did you say Freddie you do?
Oh, no. No, he's working at Walmart now. R.I.P. Freddie. R.I.P. Freddie.
Pushing cards.
My number one, Didier Deschamps. Yes.
Oh.
I gotta put him in my number one.
Sleeper pick. Holy shit.
Honestly, he's one of those guys. Again, I remember him from the World Cup squad as a player in 1998, the France World Cup squad. He was captain of that team. And they also won a Euro in 2000. He is a World Cup champ as a player, folks, and as a coach. And that is what puts him at my number one. Not many people can say that.
That is a really big stat right there.
And a Euro. And a Euro.
The treble. Unbeatable.
Yeah. And I forgot to mention this. Oh, yeah. Who do you play for club-wise? Marcel and Juventus. He also won a Champions League as a player as well. He also played for Valencia and Chelsea. He had a couple stints with them. Not as awesome as the stint with Juventus, of course. Never is. Position he played? He was a little center defensive mid, but he was known, his old teammate, Mr. Eric Cantona, they used to call him this name for his national squad. The water carrier. Not water boy, the water carrier. Because he was known for doing a lot of work in the back. He'd be taking away possession from opponents and quickly starting up an attack from the back.
No shit.
Yep. So they love to call him the water carrier. He's carrying the load.
Dude, Eric Cantona is a character.
Yes. Yeah.
I would love to have played with him. Holy shit. Anyway, keep going.
He was George Best's grandson. He was his reincarnate. But yeah, again, folks, and then if you want to flip the script on Didier as a manager, managed France to the 2016 Euro runner-up, and then 2018 World Cup champs. One hot take I wanted to throw out there with him that I really respected him for. Club-wise, he also managed Monaco back in 2004, which he got them to the Champions League final. If I'm not mistaken, I think they lost to AC Milan, maybe.
I'll look into it.
This is the thing that I really, really respect him for. He did coach Juventus to the Serie B title in 2007. Obviously, that was due to the match-fixing scandal where Juventus was relegated to Serie B. Well, he jumped right in, got him to Serie B. Boom. Hats off to him. Wow. And obviously, his playing style was all right. No. Yes. No.
No. I'm just like, wow, I'm blown away. He jumped in after they got bumped down to Serie B and
Yeah.
then got him back into A. Jesus.
Like, who would want to even take that job at the time, right?
I mean, I guess that if you think about it, if we're just thinking about it, that would imagine taking like for instance, let's say the Saints, right? Just because it's the home team. Imagine you take all the players from the Saints, okay, and you take that team and you bump them down to like the XFL, and you tell people, hey, guess what? You got to play the year in the XFL. If I was a coach, I would be like, you know what? I would beat the shit out of every team in the XFL if I had the Saints with me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Prove a
Still,
point. Yeah.
just to prove a point, but still, definitely not something that's like a gimme. Like you got to go out there and win the game. So, anyway,
Yeah.
continue. That was really impressive.
No, that was my second hot take of the day, and it was hot. I'll tell you, it burned.
That was hot.
It was hot.
Oh my god.
It was so hot. Other than that, man, I like to point out everything he did, tactically speaking, with France lately. I mean, it goes without saying, the counterattack. He's got probably the best in the world. Obviously, as of 2018, he did. But I also like to kind of point out he did a lot of his teams, his French teams that he's been coaching. He likes to do that 4-4-2 where they play the big defensive-minded role and they work out of the back. And it speaks volumes because if you look at a lot of the things that they did during that 2018 World Cup, a lot of the things they didn't do was get scored on. Raphael Varane, I thought, was fantastic throughout that whole World Cup. But he's another guy who likes, he had the defensive mindset. He likes to use the buildup of the back with his backs. And then, of course, their counterattack, you got Pogba and you got Mbappe and Griezmann and Conte, Matuidi. It's impressive. It's impressive not only for his mindset, the fact that he is a very intelligent player and coach, obviously, but it's amazing how everything has come together time-wise for him to be coaching them at this time right now when they probably have some of the best talent that they've ever had.
I mean, we got a glimpse of them when they were at the Euro and lost to Portugal. Like that's when we knew.
Yeah.
This this French team, this was no joke, And,
yep.
A lot of people had them high on their list in the World Cup. And a lot of people also forgot about, they were second place in the Euro. So, a whole bunch of people were like, I told you so. And it's like, did you really? We all kind of saw this. It wasn't like some like great prediction. But you're right. I mean, the fact that he's been there for as long as he has, especially in the world of international soccer, you don't see coaches hang on in the international world for as long as he had without success.
Yeah.
He's brought that back to France, which is awesome because, I mean, if we go back 2 decades, France won the 1990 World Cup, right? Pretty sure they did. And then Brazil won 94. And then 98, don't remember that one. But I know 94 was Brazil. And then I think
90 was Germany.
Germany won. Okay, so then Brazil was 94, which means 98 was France.
Yep.
Okay, so 98 they win the World Cup.
And he's on the squad, right?
He was on the squad. There you go. Actually, you said that. I fucking skipped right over it. So he wins the 98 World Cup. The next year, I don't think they even make it out of the group stage. Like, embarrassing. That's embarrassing as a country, So to see them back on the pedestal, back in the spotlight, I mean, this is great because he won it in 98, fucking did it again in 2018. Holy shit, 20 years later, Like, that speaks volumes to him that speaks volumes about him as a player and as a coach, So kudos on that pick. That's a phenomenal pick right there. You
He's the man.
forget about him because he's not in the domestic scene anymore. You know,
Right.
he's in the
You don't see him as often. You don't think about him.
Right. Dang. Prediction. All right. Let me ask you: do you see him going back to the domestic scene anytime soon?
Yes.
Okay. Less than or greater than 10 years?
I would say a little less than 10.
Greater than 5?
I say he's gonna go. He's definitely gonna go for this Euro, and then I say, you know what I mean.
Yep.
Then after that, it's time for a new challenge.
Oh. Wait. Now let's say he wins the Euro. Do you not say, hey, man, we only got 1 more year or 2 more years, right?
Oh, another World Cup. Yeah.
Isn't the next World Cup in 22?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Go for one more?
You win it in 2021. You like, hey, man, give us 1 more year. You know, give us 1 more year.
And then after that, I could see him. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So that's.
And then if you do that, I mean, you're the hottest coach around. Everybody, any club's going to want you after that.
I wouldn't. If I was him, I would stay the French coach.
Yeah, it's a lot less stress, I would think.
And you got
it's a lot less day-to-day shit.
Oh my god, dude! And you got so much talent now. Like the talent pool for France has now gotten to a point where it's like the talent pool of Brazil. Like you've got unlimited talent now. It's just like especially with players like Mbappe and Pogba, and the current media like world that we're in. Like kids these days, like see that and they're like, motivation. I'm gonna be one of those players.
Right.
And it's exponential. It's an exponential impact on all these kids in that French area, and the culture they have in France is just perfect for cultivating professional soccer players. I mean, it's just like I'm staying the coach for France as long as I can.
I was gonna say I'm glad you brought that up because I can only see him. He seems like a romantic type. I can only see him going to somewhere that he really loves. Like it's going to have to be a French team, or he used to play for Juventus. So maybe there. So maybe in PSG, you know. But it's the question of, is he the type of coach that he needs that drama in his life?
No.
Like I feel like there's some people like they need that. Like if they don't have it, they just shrivel up and die. Like the daily like in and outs of, oh, Icardi's wife is fucking everybody again. Oh, Neymar doesn't want to be here. Maybe he does. Maybe he does. It's like some of those guys, like me personally, I'd have a heart attack and die within like a year. Like trying to worry about what everybody's fucking doing when I'm just trying to get y'all on the same page. He might be one of those guys that loves that. Judging by what he's been coaching, it doesn't seem that way. So you know what? Maybe he might just stay this road. Maybe his wife might be like, let's just go travel the world because you've done everything that you can do. You know?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think you're spot on with him being a romantic.
Yeah.
Especially because he's French.
For sure.
I don't see him wanting to next challenge his life, you know, like, dog, you won a World Cup. You got a year away. You got another World Cup, another year away. Like, see where that goes and then make your decisions. But
exactly.
Man, what a good fucking pick. That's a good one, dude. I like that one a lot.
It's a good way to close that out.
It's a good way to close it out.
Should we do some honorable mentions on our way out?
100%. I was about to suggest, do you want to do – let's do 3 each. How about that?
Okay. All right. Throw 3 out there for me.
Okay. For me – you already said this guy, but I'm going to say him and then one other, okay? Cruyff. He easily could have made my top 5. I'm going to throw out there Fabio Capello. 32 caps for Italy. Coached just bunches of teams. Coached Milan. Coached Juventus.
Italy and England. He just recently.
Italy and England. Thank you.
Yep.
You know, just been all over the scene. The amount of players he's impacted. I mean, he's an easy one. You know, he's an easy one. Player/manager. Who you got?
I'm gonna throw this out there, folks, just because a lot of these guys on this list, our top five, I felt like those guys made my top five because they were just as good as a player as they were a manager, or they were phenomenal at one
Right.
and great at the other. There are some guys I felt like weren't great players, and they're definitely better managers.
Mm-hmm.
I would throw Klopp in that category.
Yep.
Definitely wasn't the greatest player ever. If you don't believe me, go look it up.
I've got some interesting stuff about him, but keep going.
He would be a guy that I think it should be mentioned because we are mentioning player managers, but he doesn't make my list. That being said, if there's anybody who's a player manager right now, I think it'd have to be, we got to give Wayne Rooney a shout out because he's doing both at the same time right now. He's literally right, first ever.
For those who
would like
that, he was the first ever to play on the field and be the coach.
And be the coach at the same time. At the same time.
At the same damn time. Incredible.
Same damn time.
Just to throw some information about Klopp.
Yeah, do it.
Klopp had 340 caps for the German club FC Mainz. And in the winter break, became the coach. Actually, after the winter break. This was like February. This is like going on like right about now. They made him head coach with 7 games left, and the team threatening to be relegated. He had to win. He had to win out, basically. He said, all right, boys, this is it, man. We've gotten all this way. We got 7 games left to prevent relegation. They won their first 6 games, and with that 6th game, prevented the relegation celebration. Didn't even need to play the 7th one. And then would later become the head coach of this team, FC Mainz, for the next 3 years. In the 3rd year, getting them to Bundesliga 1. I mean, right there, right there. Regardless of him not being like a number 1 team or a first team player, if you get 340 caps for a Bundesliga 2 side, and then come in as the head coach and keep them from being relegated, and then bump them up to the first division, like, oh man, whoa, that's
pretty nuts.
God, that's intense. Whew. Who else you got on that list?
I love that though. I love that.
My God. Did you ever know that?
I didn't. They just made him a coach in the middle.
Oh my God, February.
And you know what's crazy is the fact that they could have cut him, and they loved him so much and realized his potential as a coach. They said, no, we're not going to cut you. We're just come join our coaching squad. And the fact that he was humble enough to say, yeah, you're right, and I'll do it, and I'll do a great job.
Right.
Speaks volumes too.
Most players, could you imagine that conversation? So Jurgen, look, we're not seeing your productivity on the field. I don't know if you've noticed, but your play time has decreased. We don't want to lose you. Would you want to be the coach? I could imagine a bunch of players being like, fuck off, I'm out of here. He's probably like, yeah, okay, what else do I got to do?
Yeah, all right.
Like, all right, whatever.
Got to talk these guys up. All right, I can do that.
By the way, Klopp, we got 7 games and we're about to be relegated. Good luck. Okay, shit.
Yeah, all right. I'll jump in.
Fuck.
Yeah, man, I think another guy we should mention would probably have to be Sir Alex. Obviously, Sir Alex, another one that maybe wasn't necessarily the greatest player, but definitely excelled as a coach. Little hot tidbit about him. We all know who he coached, Man United. But something interesting to throw out there, he filled in and coached Scotland in a World Cup because Scotland's manager had passed away. So he's technically had some World Cup experience as a coach for Scotland.
No shit.
So that's something weird. And then I think my last one I'll throw out there right now is Ole Gunnar. Obviously, it's yet to be seen manager side, but we all know he is a player, phenomenal player. He's Champions League winner. He's on those amazing United clubs, which we even have a whole episode about. But yeah, I have to put him on the list just because he's still a work in progress. But as of right now, it seems like the guys are listening to him and they're kind of moving in the right direction right now. So
Definitely agree with you. Moving in the right direction. Real quick, little fun facts for you to add. Sir Alexson actually had 7 caps for Scotland, and Ole Gunnar had 67 caps for Norway. Fun little fact.
as a player, yeah, wow.
Yeah. Another fun fact about Sir Alex: managed Man U until he was 71 years old.
Damn.
Old motherfucker. It's impressive.
And his slogan could have been "Heart Attack" or "Money Back," baby.
My third honorable mention is going to be Pochettino. 20 caps for Argentina, and currently not coaching, but we've seen what he's done with Tottenham, and it's just spectacular. Got to the Champions League final, unfortunately lost, but just has done wonderful things with the limited tools he has over at Spurs. So that's my final one. I think that closes us out. If there's one more to add, I got to throw in Gattuso because he's doing great. He got Milan all the way up to 5th place.
Doing a great job right now.
1 point. And now he's over at Napoli, right? He's helping steer the ship for that Champions League team. Just tied Barcelona. Let's see what happens in the next leg.
That's right, baby. That's a good one. That's a good one to close out on because he is doing some really good things right now.
Yep.
So it's funny. I always remember him as such just a little meathead, just running around for AC. Which it's all right. We should do like an AC episode. Maybe that should be next, folks.
That's the next episode.
AC Milan episode. Also, folks, we've been trying to preview a new segment called "What's Your Fetish?" What's your fetish? You can ask Ocho or Footy any single question in the world. Anything in the world. We can reveal that we, used to be spies in a different life. But, we already asked you and no one asked a single question. So I will keep hammering this into your noggin and you will ask me a question. Or Ocho. Maybe we'll air it on ESPN, the Ocho. But with that being said, I think it's time we shout out a good person. Who's your shout out?
Before we shout out, I got some important news in the soccer world.
Yes.
Neymar did not sign his contract with PSG, and Barcelona has put Griezmann on the trading block for like $100 million.
Wow, already.
So looks like Neymar's going back to Barcelona.
Yeah. So maybe a swap right there for Griezmann.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. PSG bring him back to France.
Bring back France.
With that being said, shout out a good person. This one I'm gonna get real for a sec. During these trying times, during the coronavirus, I want to shout out everyone that's spending countless hours helping sick people, helping developing a vaccine, and just putting in that extra effort to make the world a safer place. It's just I don't have first experience or I'm not right there in the thick of it, but I got to shout out all the medical professionals and people in that field who are who are putting in the hours to make sure that humanity continues to exist and we don't let this virus affect us all.
Definitely. I was going to say, I think obviously there isn't a person now not affected by this in some kind of way. So definitely important that we don't forget about the folks who are still out there fighting this for us. So hats off to them. We are pulling for you. Keep doing what you're doing, and it's going to look a lot worse before it looks a lot better. So just don't give up. Don't lose that faith. We won't lose faith in you. I think my shout out was kind of has to do with the same thing. I was going to shout out my boy St. Joseph. With me being an Italian, that is St. Joseph's feast day just passed a few days ago. And that was a big thing that I used to do with my family is we go to St. Joseph's altars here in New Orleans. A lot of Italians will set up altars with a bunch of food and pray to St. Joseph. And obviously, didn't really happen this year because of the virus situation. So hopefully St. Joseph is looking down on us and maybe he can help us out a little bit. So hats off to you, my Italian friend. Please, everybody make sure. You have to do this. Make sure you go subscribe to us on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play. You better follow us on Facebook. If not, I'm going to come find you. You better be doing it on Instagram, at Footy Fetish Show. Give us some good ratings. Tell Ocho and Booty how you love that thing that you do with our feet. Or the thing we do with our feet. We can play with your feet too. It's up to you. That being said, Ocho, do you have anything else to close us out on?
Man, this has been a lot of fun. Like I said earlier in the episode, the coaches nowadays are something that I relate to a lot more. So I'm sure you guys could hear how excited I was to talk about some of these coaches. Thanks for listening. To reiterate what Mike said, go follow us on all the possible channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Go listen to us on Google Play. Combine those two. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify. Just to reiterate, love the support. Like Booty always says, tell us we suck. Tell us we're funny. Any feedback is appreciated.
All feedback is good feedback. We appreciate it. This has been the Footy Fetish Show, where the fetish is real and the footy is soccer.